run an electric current through a coil of copper wire, and the coil will produce a short-range magnetic field. Place a second coil within this field, and an electric current will flow through it. The magnetic field has transferred electrical power from one coil to the other. This principle is called induction, and it has been understood for more than a century. Induction is what charges a wireless electric toothbrush, for example, and it works well over extremely short distances. Pull the coils apart, and the power transfer ceases. It turns out that the trick to longer distance power transfer is the same principle an opera singer uses to shatter a wine glass from across the room. It's called resonance. For the opera singer, when the frequency of the sound wave matches the unique resonant frequency of the glass, the acoustic energy is converted to kinetic energy at the highest possible efficiency. The energy then builds inside the glass until it shatters. The coils that electricity uses to transfer power wirelessly are magnetic resonators. First, a rapidly oscillating electric current is applied to a coil at a specific resonant frequency. This creates a magnetic field in the region around the coil. Tune a second coil to the same resonant frequency as the source, and it will couple, resonating anywhere within that region and converting the oscillating magnetic field into an electrical current within the second coil. This response is called highly coupled magnetic resonance, and it hasn't been done before. By attaching the second coil to a device, such as the battery of an electric car or a mobile phone, this current can be made to do useful work. The source can be either centimeters or meters away from the device being powered, and can deliver power through walls or around metal obstacles. The power can even be distributed across multiple devices at once. So by a simple trick of physics, power is transferred wirelessly.
Wireless power transfer experiments I've been doing of late. This all started when I wanted to build one of these rotated distance of vision display gadgets. This is the prototype. Most people use batteries or steel power from the motor armature that rotates it to power the electronics of the actual display. I thought we could use some little bit of RF technology to send power across the rotating gap. Anyway, more on that later. The basic outcome of all of this is that we've built a simple little prototype here that can send power wirelessly several coil radii with little effort. If you wanted to power your laptop with this kind of approach, you'd need fairly large coils if you wanted to, say, sit on the lounge and have the transmitter built into the wall or across the other side of the room. So I want to do some basic research and study of the phenomena and work out how it works and how we can optimize it for sending power to more macroscopic amounts of power. I mean, this is obviously just a LED, it doesn't take a lot of power, but several watts, say, so you could perhaps charge a cell phone without having to have it sit directly on a charging cradle, or some similar other practical device would be an actual use for this technology. Right, so what we can see just with this simple low efficiency lasher is that coupling is very important. As we increase the distance between the coils, coupling drops off quite rapidly. Also note that the coupling out here is still reasonably good, and there's this interesting little crossover region where the coupling actually drops through zero. Also, if you put the coils orthogonally, as you'd expect, everything cancels and you get no power transfer. This all comes from the basic electromagnetics of the system, but I thought it'd be interesting to talk about that first before we move on to how to optimize this for transferring significant amounts of power. To study the coupling between coils, I wound myself two experimental coils. These particular ones are called C and D because they're the third and fourth ones that I made. They're about 4 microhenries, and they don't have particularly good Q or self-resonant frequencies because of their physical construction. Their wires are quite thin and they're quite bunched up laterally on top of each other, which gives them a lot of distributed capacitance. But using these, I performed some basic experiments like measuring the coupling as I separated them by distance, and also axially. This is the resulting graph that shows, well, The details are on the website, but essentially once you get beyond about a radius apart, the coupling drops off very rapidly indeed and approaches zero. There's also this interesting region where the coupling goes negative because the flux area here is much coming through from this coil up, if you like, through into this coil, is getting smaller than the flux that's coming from the other side of the coil up through this larger area, even though the field is less dense down here. So even though the coupling coefficient goes negative, this is just a mathematical thing. For power transfer purposes, it doesn't really matter. You're just getting energy from the other side, and you'll get reasonable coupling out here until eventually the field tapers off to nothing. So, what does this mean for practical application? Well, even though the quality factor of these coils is not particularly good, the fact that they're planar means that geometrically they're quite easy to integrate into a device, say a cell phone or a laptop, something like that, and they can be placed quite close together, which gives us good coupling coefficients if we can place them directly on top of each other in a charging situation, for example, say a charging mat. And this enables us to have fairly high efficiency even when they have poor Q. Now, I have some other inductors that have much better Q. This, for example, is an inductor that was built specifically for high Q. It's made out of thick wire. It's space wound, so there's a gap between each coil, and we'll talk more about why that's important later. And it has approximately the right length to diameter ratio, which is also important for high Q. This coil has a Q over 200, whereas these coils here have Qs are about 65 if they're lucky. The difference is quite significant when it comes to high efficiency power transfer with very low coupling coefficients in, say, a wireless electricity transmission system where you've got the coils very far apart.